So it appears like the Clippers are using Chris Paul as a scapegoat for why they've been so bad this season, which is a pity. And if you guys think that's ridiculous too, subscribe. We are trying to hit 12,750 by the end of the day. If we could do that, that would be insane. But anyway, we've got to talk about this. So obviously, the Clippers have just let Chris Paul go. Not like got rid of him, told him go sit at home. Go sit at home. They can't cut him. It seems like instead of just trade, like they could very easily trade Chris Paul to somewhere that would just cut him. They could trade Chris Paul just to get somebody back and get off somebody. But the reality is, like, Chris Paul is the greatest player in the history of their franchise. The greatest player in the history of their franchise, and you would have hoped they'd be treated a little bit better than this going out. But at the end of the day, it was a pretty rough one. So this is from Chris B. Haynes. And he's the person who I initially saw tweet out that Chris Paul was sent home, and I thought it was sent out. I thought it was sent out. I have to say that. Like, I thought that it was a joke. So much joke media that you just kind of assume some things are sent out. It says here, sources, weeks ago, Chris Paul requested to have a meeting with Tyronn Lue to discuss allegations of being a negative presence on the team. So obviously people were not happy with Chris Paul. People were obviously not happy with Chris Paul. And it is, it's a very, very, like, not ideal situation to be in, obviously, if you're him, when people are calling you a negative influence on your team. But it says here, Lue refused to meet with him. Lawrence Frank traveled to Atlanta to deliver news of parting ways. He wanted his final season to be with the Clippers. Like, the executive of basketball operations flew to Atlanta to tell Chris Paul, go home. He wanted his final season to be with the Clippers. And it's not going to be that, obviously. They just want him gone. And the fact is that even if he was being a negative influence on the team, by the way, even if he was being a negative influence, was just talking too good about Ty Lue in his intro press conference, the biggest loser franchise found a way to one-up themselves. It's insane. And that's the thing where it's like, I get it that Chris Paul can be hard to work with. I get it that Chris Paul sometimes he honestly could see, it seems like he's an asshole. Most of the time, it seems like he's an asshole, if we're being honest. At the end of the day, Chris Paul is going to be one of those players that is going to be seen as the greatest point guards of all time. And that's the thing. And now you've got a situation where you could have had him at the end of his career. And not only that, it's clear here that whatever he was doing, even if he was being toxic, he was at least trying to mend the fences, and Ty Lue said no. Ty Lue just said no. And that is a pity. What did Chris Paul do to not even get a conversation? How bad must it have been? Apparently, he was vocal at holding management, coaches, and players accountable. And he was Clippers viewed as disruptive, and Ty Lue was not on speaking terms with Chris Paul for weeks. So basically, we're shit, and he's going to be holding people accountable, and they're not on speaking terms. And the fact is that he tried to have a meeting with the coach about it, and they just said no. And like, that is fully believable, by the way, that Chris Paul is absolutely a person who is an asshole. And I don't think there's that much of another way to describe it. Like, Jason Kidd was the same. I think a lot of people have described Chris Paul as an asshole. And that shouldn't change anything, really. That shouldn't change anything. And at the end of the day, you've now got Giannis getting traded. And you can see the difference between these two franchises is that even with Giannis, he wants out of Milwaukee. Milwaukee have called the Knicks. He wanted to be. It's been made clear he wants to be in New York. So Milwaukee have already called the Knicks. Yeah, we're gonna try. We're gonna try do right by you. We're gonna try trade you. We want to send you to where you want to go. And then there's an organization where I get it. Chris Paul just came in this year. He's the greatest player in the history of your franchise. You've now got a Los Angeles Clippers team that isn't going to even let him be around the team. They're blaming a player holding people accountable for the team being shit. When your other star player who never shows up and who very rarely shows the work and has just been nothing but, if I'm going to be honest, nothing but a problem for the franchise for 6 years, in Kawhi Leonard. Like, then you've got Kawhi Leonard all of a sudden, and now he's with the franchise. And what people are talking about now is they're losing, and he's coming out and saying, oh, we need more talent. And I'm like, so he's allowed publicly call out teammates, but that's the difference. Kawhi Leonard's better than Chris Paul. And Chris Paul doing this in his prime is one thing, but like Chris Paul doing this now, and it's a team that clearly doesn't want, they don't want a vet being like that. They don't want accountability. They don't want a veteran player, a veteran leader, a known winner in there trying to change things, because let's be real, I don't know exactly what Chris Paul's doing, and I don't know if what Chris Paul's doing could be negatively affecting them short term. It absolutely could be, but long term, there's no way it's worse than what's going on right now. There's no effing way that what Chris Paul is doing is will make the team worse. Because again, Chris Paul is, I hate saying this because he hasn't won a title, but if you look at Chris Paul, if you look at how he goes about things, he is absolutely one of the he's a winner. He's an absolute winner. And he's somebody that could help your franchise as a veteran presence. But man, just go to Miami. Go to Miami and take the UD role. There's a lot of things about that. But yeah, that's pretty much it, lads. That is pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that the Clippers are right in this? Do you guys think the Clippers are wrong in this? But I think they're refusing a meeting or refusing to talk to Chris Paul, no matter how much of an asshole Chris Paul was. Realistically, it's probably all basketball. It's probably all just trying to win. Chris Paul wanted to end the Clipper. Realistically, I think he wanted to compete for a championship. Sitting on the end of the bench doing nothing. And worst case scenario, they won't even cut him and let him go somewhere else. It's a pity, but that's the video. I'll see you guys.